Yeah, good morning, everyone. So last session we started discussing about functions in JavaScript. So what are the points we learned about function is? So we discussed about function purpose. What is the purpose of function? Refactoring. Function is used for refactoring. And we learned about function parameters. Function configuration we learned first. Function configuration means function contains what? Function contains two configuration: declaration. Another one is expression. What is difference? What is difference between declaration and expression? So declaration is the memory allocated for a function will be available only for that function. But expression allows to change in a specific memory allocation. You can handle different functions, multiple functions. That's what actually expression can change the functionality in specific memory. Declaration, a function is present with specific functionality, and another function should allocate another memory. But here in one memory, you can handle multiple, right? Next, we discussed about function declaration, declaring function, and signature and definition. Declaring, signature, and definition. These three things we learned. What is declaring? It will have a function keyword and a function name. What is signature? It will have function name and parameters. Parameters are optional. We call functions by using signature. Definition is the functionality that a function have to perform. The block is called definition. I given that difference actually. Next, we learned about function parameters. Why we need a function with parameter? So function parameters are required to modify function. The functionality can be modified by using parameters, right? Another important is the parameter types we learned. Parameter types. It can be any type of parameter. Primitive type, non-primitive type, or even a function. Function also can be parameter. We discussed about two parameter types. So one is formal parameter, another actual parameter. What is difference? What is difference between formal parameter and actual parameter? The difference between formal and actual parameter. What is difference? Formal parameters are the references defined in the function declaration. They are references. Actual parameters are the values. So reference are formal parameters. The values are actual parameters. So functional functions can have formal parameter. Formal parameter will create a reference, and that reference will be used to store the value. And the sending value is nothing but actual parameter. Actual parameter sends the values. So we have two types of parameters, the formal parameter and the actual parameter, right? Next important, another point here is, after understanding the formal and actual parameter, yesterday I told you how to define parameters. So undefined parameters. If any parameter is not defined, how to handle it? By using which keyword? Undefined. Undefined. Every parameter is compulsory and its order also compulsory. If you are not passing, then they will return undefined. What you have to do, we have to verify undefined, right? That is the parameters. How many parameters are supported in a function? So 1024, that is the maximum limit of parameters as per whom? ECMA standards. So we cannot have many parameters. So that depends on ECMA standards, that is 1024. Now, up to this, we learned all these points we discussed yesterday. I given examples also for these things. Next important, so we need to understand here, when we are learning about function parameters, actually, if anybody asked a question like, what if anybody asked a question like, what is the purpose of a function as parameter? Inside any function declaration or inside any function. What is the purpose of a function as parameter inside any function? That means we are writing a function name, and it have parameter. Now I told you that into that parameter we can send a function. Parameter can be a function. So parameter can be a function or a primitive, non-primitive, object, array, anything. Now tell me, what is the purpose of a function as parameter? Why we write function as parameter? If anyone asks you that question, so it is used to design callbacks. It is used to design callbacks. If you see function as parameter, if you see any function as parameter, that we call as callback. We call it as callback function, right? So what is a callback function? You already saw that. So in find, in filter, in fetch, on success, then uses a callback function. What is a callback function? Tell me. What is a callback function? Actually, you use a callback function like this. Suppose there is then uses a function, right? Then is a function. In that function, again a function as a parameter. What is the purpose of this? What is a callback function? What do you say? Actually, the purpose of a function as callback is, so technically what is the main purpose is, so it is used to handle various functionalities according to state and situation. That means, so a function can change according to state and situation. A function can change according to state and situation. That is what the concept of callback. That means, what does that means is, for example, suppose we are creating one application. Let's write a simple logic here. Right. So here we are writing a simple logic like, so we are creating function and function name is verify password. So in this verify password, we are expecting password. After that, this password may return true, false, correct or not. If password is not correct, if password is correct. If password is correct, what should happen? If not correct, what should happen? Two functions I have to execute. Then I will write like this. I will write temporarily, I am writing, then I am writing catch like this. Actually, we should not use those words. Those are reserved words now. I will use temporarily success and failure. Okay. That means now what happens if password is matching with your password admin? Then what happens? This success should execute like a method function. Remember, success is just memory. If you call like this, it indicates that it is expecting a function inside. Otherwise, which function will execute? Failure function will execute. If you are calling like this, that means you are expecting a function inside them. If you are calling like this, it indicates we are expecting an array. Am I right? This indicates array. This indicates function. In the memory, a function. Now I am writing here verify password. And in that we will pass password admin. And here we need to define function. This is called callback. Now this function will put document.write login success. So another function, this will be stored in the reference of failure. Document.write. This is invalid password. Now out of these two functions, which one will execute? That depends on the condition. If condition matching, first function will execute. If condition not matching, second function will execute. That means, is it any standard function it is doing? No, it is changing the functionality according to the situation. This is called callback. Callback means you provide a set of functions. Out of that, which one is suitable, it will choose. Right? Which function to execute, that depends on state and situation. So that is mechanism called callback. That means you define a set of functions. Set of functions. So condition chooses. So which function to execute? To execute according to situation. That's what actually the concept is. So this is called as, generally we call this as callback. So what is the concept of callback? Callback is a set of functions defined in such a way that those functions will execute according to the situation. We call this mechanism as callback, right? So if anyone asks what kind of parameters a function can have, any kind of parameter it can have, primitive type, non-primitive type, or a function. If anyone asks why we need a function as parameter, to achieve a concept called callback. What is callback? In callback, we will define some set of functions out of which only one will execute according to the situation. That is what actually callback. These days, now people are using another technique called promise. I will tell you later. Now recently all callback techniques are changed to promises. What is a promise? I will tell you. Now various libraries are changing from callback to promise. I will show that difference in the next level. We will see that. So first, this I explained because of the point called parameter. A function also can be defined as parameter, but important note is actually when you define, so when you define a function as parameter, so then it is not configured. Then it is, if you define a function as parameter, then it is not configured. It is not configured with, it is not configured with name. Function will not have a name. So if you define a function as parameter, it is not configured with name. That means what you done? So you are writing some name, you are defining a function. This function will not have name again. It will be without name. So why? Because a name is already defined. You have to just allow this in that particular reference name. That means formal parameter is already declaring a name. In that name, this functionality will be stored. That is actually the purpose. So it will not have any name. You should not give any name here. That means you should not give any name for function. Just function and parenthesis, right? Now, interesting point here is this we will first discuss this. Yeah. So what is the important point here is, we are learning about parameters. We will continue with parameters. So lot of parameters passing is a burden for any function. That means actually passing parameters into function, allowing parameters into function leads to a technical issue called, so allowing parameters into a function leads to injection attacks. Allowing parameter into a function leads to injection attack. That means if any function is allowing parameters, then risk is there. So what is the risk is it can lead to injection attack. Actually, in web designing and software development, lot of technical problems will come, right? So in general web development, lot of issues will be there. Like, so we call different issues like we have XSS. XSS means cross-site scripting attacks. Scripting attacks. So we have injection attacks. Cross-site scripting attacks, injection attacks, CORS issues will come. CORS is cross origin, resource sharing. Resource sharing. Cross origin resource sharing issues will come, right? Another one is these all later situation wise I will explain whenever the situation comes. So we call as cross page posting. So we call double posting. So these are all technical issues. These are all the technical issues. If these issues are there, then it is easy for anybody to hack your application, affect your application. These are all injection attacks. We generally call them as injection attacks. So how to handle these injection attacks? How we can manage these injection attacks? For that, our application needs some securities. For that, you have to learn web security. We will learn generally in web development securities related to web. Usually, these are all the attacks. When you are allowing function with parameters, these attacks are possible. So until or unless it is not mandatory, we don't want parameters. So we don't want parameters. And passing too many parameters becomes burden. That's the reason what happened is, so JavaScript ES6 have introduced a concept called REST parameters. It introduced a concept called REST parameters. So JavaScript ES6 introduced REST parameters. What is the concept of REST parameter is, so one parameter can allow multiple arguments. One parameter can allow multiple arguments. So this mechanism is called REST parameter. So this advantage is you don't need to pass many parameters. We can just put one REST parameter and it can handle any number of arguments. Right? For example, see how it works. I will show you. Suppose here, how many, let's take a simple function, product, ID, name, price, stock, some details are there. Now we are accessing the details, document.write. So we are printing those details. Document.write, and we are printing the details. ID. So, and whatever ID is. And we have name and whatever name is there. We have price and whatever price is there. So we have stock and whatever stock is there. These are all the options. Now what happens is whenever you call the product, we have to pass all of them. ID, name, price, stock, all these we need to pass. So many parameters are very risky to handle. I told you that injection issues will come. So now in JavaScript, they introduced a technique. You can create one parameter which can handle all arguments. And that parameter will be written like this, dot, 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 and any name, details, something. Even 20 parameters, 30 parameters also, arguments also, dot, 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 3 dots. So REST parameter, it is defined by using dot, dot, dot and param name. So that means what we have to do is we define a function and name dot, dot, dot and parameter name. Now actually remember here, so REST parameter is an array parameter, array type. REST parameter is an array type. It is an array type. What is the meaning? That means now memory is allocated how? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Array type means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So in 0, first one will be there. In 1, second one will be. So details is an array. You can see array. It is an array. Now how to collect data from array? These are invalid now because details of 0, details of 1, details of 2, like that we have to access. But you remembered in array we learned destructuring. So what you can do now, simply we can declare var ID, name, price and stock, from where details. That's simple. That means now how many parameters are there? Only one. But it can handle multiple arguments. You can see these all arguments are stored in this. We can access them independently and store them in these references and you can use them. So this is REST parameter. You can see it is going to work and display here. So this is REST parameter. It is working fine. So what is the purpose of REST parameter? It is an array type. That means so you can access the values. So by using index, index is called index, that is property na. By using the property reference or by using destructuring technique. Or by using destructuring technique. So this is an example for that. Oh, sorry. The previous one, this is, yeah, I will copy this one. This is an example for that here. Now, here so many points you need to know. Here, the question, the key points here is, every function can have only one REST parameter. It can have only one REST parameter. That means suppose you have a function, name dot dot parameter 1 dot dot parameter 2. This is invalid. There can be only one REST parameter. Another important point is you can have REST parameter with other parameters. That means if anyone asks If there is a REST parameter, can't I have other parameters? You can. You can have REST parameter with other parameters, but one point is there. So REST parameter must be the last parameter. Informal parameters, informal list. That means in formal parameters list, REST parameter must be the last. It must be the last parameter. So you can have REST parameter. So, but REST parameter can be with other parameters, but it must be the last. Why? If anybody asks why it should be last, because its nature is to read up to end. Up to end, how many arguments are there? It will read. That means there cannot be anything after it. It should be last because it reads up to end. That is the reason it must be the last parameter. Why it should be last? As it reads up to end. As it reads up to end, it must be last. You see here now, suppose I want another parameter. Another parameter is I am giving title. It's not allowed. You see, it shows a message. A REST parameter must be last. A REST parameter must be last in parameter. So you can have title, but title must be here. Understood? So now in this case, here we have to pass title. Title is some heading. So product details. Like this I am giving, right? Or just product details. Heading we will print there. This is a string. This is a string. And here we will print that. So we need to collect. So a heading. Here heading will directly come from title parameter. That means now you can have other parameter along with that. That means if there is a REST parameter, can we have other parameters also? Yes, we can have. But REST parameter must be last. Anything before it, any number of parameters you can have. But that is what we are trying to avoid, right? In one argument, we are trying to pass all of them, right? This is important. This is an example for that. So REST parameter. So what is the REST parameter syntax is? One REST parameter, you can pass any number of arguments, right? This is basic, how we can define. Now next important is in recent JavaScript versions, we have a spread syntax. We have a spread syntax. That means related to this. Actually, in many interviews, they ask what is difference between REST and spread. Right? Actually, REST is about parameters. And spread is about arguments that you pass. That means REST is about formal and spread is about actual. It is about actual. That means, what does that means? For example, see, spread syntax means I will give like this now. Suppose I am writing a function. In the function, suppose I am having some print. I will say print details. Now in this function, we are having so multiple arguments, multiple parameters like ID, name, price, stock, like this we have. Now, how to pass data into them? To pass data into them, so we will pass here. We will pass here. So print details. We will pass ID, name like this. Multiple we have to pass. Instead of passing multiple, we can pass simple, only one array. We can pass only one array. And in this array, we will put ID. ID is 1, name as TV. Another one, price. So price is some price. And stock. Stock is some true. But how many arguments are here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, how many you are passing? This array indicates only one. Only one. So this will be passed in ID. Understood? Right? It is an array. Only one argument. This is all entire one value, na? This one value will be passed into ID. But we have to spread this array into this all. How you can spread the array into all? Here we can use ... This is called spread syntax. That means now what you can do, you can spread these values there. Right? We can spread these values there. So what is spread is nothing but, so it is the process of configuring one actual parameter with the multiple values which can spread into multiple formal parameters. So it is the process of configuring one actual parameter with multiple values. And very important, these multiple values can spread into multiple formal parameters. So that is what actually the concept. So here, that is the spread syntax. So syntax will be like this. So we have a function. Function name, and we have parameter 1. We have parameter 2, parameter 3. Now, how do we pass arguments into that? So we will put name. We will put one array into that ... Right? And here we have value 1. We have value 2. We have value 3. Like this we can define. Actually, you can maintain this in a separate array. So suppose I am printing. So document.write. So here we have to print all the details. ID is ID. So name is name. And price is price. Like this we are printing all the details. And we have stock as what? Stock. You are printing all the details. You can see it is printing all the details. But this time we are using a spread technique. Actually, we can do like this. All these we can store in a variable values. So it is an array. We can store all these values in an array. And what we can do, so we can pass those values like this. We can pass the values like this. That is another technique. That means now how many we are passing? Only one. Now it looks more easy to understand, right? That means only one argument one value you are passing, which contains multiple values, which will spread into multiple parameters. That is the technique. Actually it is same, right? You entered something like Samsung TV and you see it is going to get that and show. This is the spread syntax. We call it as spread syntax. We have spread syntax. This is used in different concepts actually. For example, you see, suppose I'm having function print collection. In this, we are having some values. So we are having some different values. So what are the values it is having? Suppose collection. It's a parameter. Now what this is parameter is, suppose it is an array type parameter. Array type parameter means we will use for var. So item of what is it? Collection. We will pass document dot write. We will print item br. Like this we will do. When we call print collection, into that what we do? We can pass an array. We can pass an array. This will be stored. Suppose I say TV, like mobile, and shoe, like this. So it will collect all of these into that. This is only one parameter. Suppose there are many. For example, if there are many, then what we do? Then we will declare many parameters, and one value should be spread into many. So that means, for example, here this is already learned. We already know. You can pass array, we can pass string, you can pass any number. So any collection we can loop and we can print. This already we learned. So generally how people pass is, suppose we have A, B, C, D. Now what we need to do? All these A, B, C, D we want to print. Here what happens is, suppose there is a collection. So data, in this data we have only, so 10, 20, 30. Only 3 are there. Only 3 are there. Now these I need to pass into A, B, C, D. How? We will use here dot 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 and what? Data. After that we will pass 40. Understood? Huh? This is also possible. Now what happens now? In the data, how many are there? 3. It will spread them into these 3. Then fourth will be undefined. The fourth argument you can pass like this if you want. If some data is already coming, into that some more you need to add, then you can do this. Then usually we can print all of them. So document dot write. So we need to print all these values, right? So we are just printing these values. So A is equal to A. Some B is equal to some B. So C is equal to some C. Like this we define. And D is equal to some D. So, and you can see that it is going to print those data and show. So if 4 arguments are there, but you have only 3 values, then we can use a spread for that. For other, you can individually pass. That technique also possible, right? This is called spread. This is called spread. So if anyone asks what is difference between, so between spread and rest, tell me. REST is about formal parameters, and spread is about actual parameters. That is the difference. That means multiple arguments, multiple formal parameters we can avoid by using REST. So that one parameter you can define, into that we can pass multiple actual parameters we can avoid. How you can avoid actual multiple parameters? By using spread. By using spread syntax we can do that. So in JavaScript, new advanced techniques people do like this. If there are many parameters in formal, they have to pass multiple values. They will store under one name, and through spread syntax they will pass. Because again, passing lot of parameters is risky. So keep all of them at one place and just pass the reference by using a spread. That is basically difference between the spread and the REST parameter. So this is about REST parameters. So REST parameters in JavaScript and spread parameters in JavaScript. So these are the two important things, right? Next important, when you are learning about the functions, next important is function with return. Function with return. So generally, a function, every JavaScript function is void type. Every JavaScript version is void type by default. By default, it is void type. Now what happens is, what is meaning of void type? Usually void indicates no return. Void indicates no return. That means, so void refers to discard the return. Void refers to discard the return. Discard means destroy the return. Don't return anything. Discard the return. That is what we call as void. That means what happens is, every JavaScript function first allocates memory. Next, performs operation in memory. After that, destroys memory. So it will not return any value as there is no memory. It will not return any value because there is no memory. It will perform the operation. It will destroy the memory. And it will not return any value as there is no memory. There is no memory. It will not return any value. That is what actually function. So how it happens here? How do you know that? Because you write a function name. In that, this is the block. What is the meaning of this parenthesis? So the meaning of this parenthesis is, create a object for name and load memory for that object. So it will create an object for that name and it will load memory for that object. So actually it is a function, but I told you na, all are coming from a root type called object. Array is an object, date is an object, right? So function actually, it allocates, what this parenthesis means, allocates memory. Allocates memory. After allocating memory, in that memory, it can perform these operations. Understood? Now, what does this means and this curly brace means? It will start, it will stop. That means once it comes here at the end curly brace, it stops the function. After stopping the function, it will remove the memory allocated for function. Whatever memory allocated for that function, memory allocated for this function, that memory is removed when it reaches here. Now that is nothing but, that means this is end of function. So once the end of function happens, memory is erased. Memory is erased. Now see what we do here. What we do here is, so a function can use return jump statement. Return is a jump statement now. It can use jump statement. How it will uses this return jump statement is, so we will write a function. So name. After that, we will write here we will write return. What is the meaning of this return? Return is a jump statement now. Return means what? Terminate. Stop. We learnt already difference between break and return. Return means what? Terminate the execution. Terminate the execution. So where it is terminating the execution? Where it is terminating the execution? Before reaching the end of function. Because that curly block is end of function. Na? Before reaching end of function, it is terminating the block. Now what will happen? Function execution stopped. And this indicates erase memory. Na? It is not reaching there. So is memory erased? Before reaching it, we stopped. Is memory erased? Memory is not erased. That means the function memory will still remain. Because before reaching end, you stopped. Right? Before reaching end, you stopped. Then what happens? The memory is still there. In that memory, you can store any value. In that memory, you can store that value. You can send value like this, A. Now what happens? Means you can send any value here. Now what happens? This value will be stored in this memory. That means if you say return, it stops. After stopping, the name will be created as a memory. In that memory, it can store the value that you return. That means now this function works like a variable. In that variable, it can store the data. What is advantage of this? Even when the function ends, the value of the function is available. We can use. Generally, when a function ends, the value of function is no longer available because it is destroyed. But now the value of function is still available. You can access with reference of which name, function name. With reference of function name, you can access that value. This is what actually return purpose is. By seeing the word return, many people generally think return means it returns value. Right? That means function is returning value. Return is not a keyword. Return is not a general keyword. Return is a statement. It's a jump statement. No? How jump statement is used to return a keyword, return a value. So it is not returning value actually. What it is doing, it is stopping the compilation. When it stops the compilation, the memory is not removed. Memory is still available. In that memory, this value can be stored. This value is assigned into that memory. What is advantage of that? Advantage of that is you can keep the memory of a function so available even after the function ends. Even after the function ends, you can make the function available, memory available. Usually, if there is no return, it is what type? It is void type. Void type. What void type will do? Which removes the memory allocated for function. So that is why we say variable A, B, C. These are all what function scope, right? Suppose you declare a variable in a function, then we call it as function scope. Why it is function scope? Because after the function ends, the memory ends. How they are accessible to another function. Now, even the function ends, the memory is available. This you can access in another function. This you can access in another function. So here I will tell you another important technique. Actually, it is a mechanism. It is a mechanism of creating function. Mechanism of creating function. Creating function which can use its own memory. Its own memory. Instead of accessing any global memory. Instead of accessing any global memory, it can use its own memory. Use memory. These type of functions are known as these are called pure functions. These type of functions are called as pure functions. In JavaScript, you have a concept of pure functions, impure functions. In some high-level interviews, they may ask what are pure and impure functions in JavaScript. So what is pure and impure function? I will tell you here. See, suppose I am writing here a simple function, addition. Now addition function have A and B. I have another function, result. I have to calculate A plus B, and the result of A plus B I need to print in result function. Now I declared a variable here, C is equal to A plus B. Can I access that C here? No. Then what you do? We can declare a global variable called C. In that you can store A plus B. Now what this function is doing, it is accessing the global scope and it is modifying the global scope. It is it is taking more time. It is heavy on application. It will take more time. That means it is taking the memory of global and it is modifying the global memory. Actually, this C is how much? Suppose it is 0. Or if you don't give, it is undefined. It is 0. Now what this addition is doing? It is accessing a global value and modifying that value with A plus B. This you can access and use it here. That means what we can do, document.write. So addition is equal to the value of C. Now we need to call two functions. We need to add addition 10, 20. We have to call result also. Result is going to print. That means now you can see it is going to print C30. So the technique of creating a global variable, accessing the global variable inside the function, modifying the global variable and using it in some another location. So this is lot of memory, because one memory for C, another memory for addition and another memory for result. This becomes heavy. This is called impure technique. That means here I will give you a point here. So what is impure function? Impure function. This is another question. The answer is, so every functional programming language uses impure functions by default. So every functional programming language uses impure functions by default. So they can access the memory outside function and modify the memory. They can access the memory outside function and can modify the memory. So it is slow in access. So impure technique is slow in access because it is heavy. It is heavy on application. So as multiple memory allocations are required. Multiple memory allocations are required. That is the reason it is heavy on application. This technique is heavy on application. So this is the example for impure function. This is the example for an impure. I will copy this. This is example for impure function, impure technique. Impure. Then how to handle this problem without declaring a global variable? How you will access the value of this function and use another? So without using a global variable, how you will do that? So we will do in this way now. What we will do is, we will not declare a global variable. Then where to store the result of A plus B? We will just use return A plus B. Now what happens is, A plus B, it will perform and it will stop the compiling. Whatever result comes, it will store in this addition on. Now what you can do is, in the result, directly in the result, you can access addition function and pass the values. Now what it will do, it will take these values, it will perform addition. After that, it will store the result in addition. That means the result of A plus B is present here, which you are displaying. You don't need a global memory. You don't need to modify the global memory. You don't need to access that memory here. That means instead of using a global memory, it can use its memory for storing the result and can be accessed from any location. That means now you can see this result is going to display 40. The same concept, what we done previously, now we are doing this. This technique is called as pure. This is called pure functions. Pure function can use its own memory for performing operation and storing the result, so that it can be accessed and used from any another location without modifying a global variable. So technically, what is a pure function here? Another question here, what is a pure function? Pure function. So answer for this is, pure function is it allocates memory for functionality and result. That means it uses its own memory. So and makes it global in access. So without declaring a global variable, you can access and use the value from any function, from any another function. The value of a function can be used in any another function without using any global variable. That is what actually the concept of pure. This is called as pure. So this is the example of pure. That is the example of pure. This is example for pure. The previous one is an example for impure. In this, you don't need a global variable. Previously, what we have to do, one memory for addition, another memory for result. That memory is global. We access that memory and modify, and we access that global from any another location. Now directly you can access the function and we can use it. That means now this function is used as memory as well as it is used as a variable. That means a reference is created for that function so that its result can be stored. Now here so many other points also there. Other point is, so here another question asked here is, so can a function have more than one return defined? More than one return defined. Usually return is only one, because wherever return comes, it will stop. Can we have more than one return defined? Yes, we can have. So why you can have multiple? Yes. So it is used to handle conditional return. Conditional return means what? Condition wise it can return different. For example, see here, we will put here as function called template. This template function, so is expecting. Here we will put prompt where. So here I will give template is equal to prompt, enter template. Template name. Template name is actually, it can be like login or it can be like register. Template names can be like this. Now what happens is, what this template function have to do? It should take the template name. If template is equal to login, if template is equal to login, it should return. What it should return? It should return a template like this, a string. Here we are defining user login. I'm using backtick. I will keep a data list and data term. So user ID, data term. So data definition, input type is equal to text. And another data term, password. So data term and the data definition, input type is equal to password. So, and data definition. And suppose we have, so another data list, and we have a button is login button. Like this we define. It will return this template. Otherwise, else what it is going to return? Else it is going to return. What it is going to return? Another one. So it is going to return registration. I will copy this, and here we are using another return. It will return. So I will say register user. So user ID, username, so password. Suppose here we are adding, so email. So type is email something. And we have like mobile, so or age something. I said some number. Like this we define. Now what happens here? We have to just print document.write. What to print? Template. We have to print the template. Remember why you are printing this template? Why? Because it is a string type. Because this template is returning string. It is returning string. So when I ask this here now, login or register, I entered register, then it will get register user. I entered login, then it will get login. You can put a drop down. You can ask which one user wants. User clicks, that will display. I'm just using print here. Usually what can happen? So for example, so I'm just printing here. Suppose we have a body section. In the body section, we have a select drop down. We have a select drop down. So we have an option. Option is what? Login. Another option is what? Register. So here another option, we have like select template. Now here we will write a logic on change. On change is what? Template change. So we will write a function here, template change. In template change, so we have to select the template which they want. This option is what? Login. This is login. That means here we don't need a prompt now. Am I right? Template doesn't require a prompt. So what we have to do? Here we have to write the logic. So template change. Template change, we will get the template. Okay. What is the template? So document dot query selector. What is it? select dot value, and this value is what login, and this value is what register. And here we have to print that inside the paragraph. That means what we will do here, we will just write if template, right? If template is equal to what? Login. Then what should happen? This we have to render. Understood? This we have to render. That means actually into that template, so we will pass login. That means this is expecting a template parameter. Now what we will do is this template parameter we will pass here. That means what we have to do, call the template method. Into that we pass the template. Template is what? Login. Otherwise we have to call template and pass the template here, right? That means now what happens here is, so when user selects a drop down, a login should come, a register should come. Where it should render the template, it is returning string. This string must be rendered in which location? Paragraph. That means what we have to do, document dot query selector. What is it? Paragraph. Paragraph inner HTML is equal to the template. Here also, this is, I am making it complex, but simple previous one you understood. Inner HTML is template. That means inside the paragraph, we are displaying some login. User selects register, it will get that register. That means we have two templates and user can choose which one he wants. Right? This is the concept of actually designing such in multiple returns. Right? So can a function return multiple? It is used for handling conditional return. Right? You generally people call conditional rendering. Conditional rendering is nothing but according to situation, it will render different contents. So this is example for that. This is example. This is the basic of return. You have a lot of other things about return that we'll see in next session, right? And Monday we will continue. In Monday we will have some more points about function. Function is a big one. Lot of other points are there that we will finish by Monday. Then if we finish function, we can go into object-oriented programming, right? That will continue in Monday session. Okay, right.